Hey there everybody, it's markcrilley. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be looking back at the artwork that I created back in the 90s when I briefly earned my living in the advertising business. I would go to these different advertising companies and put up flyers, such as this one, and encourage people to look at my work and call me when they needed a freelance illustrator, mainly for doing storyboards. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into some of the examples of what I was doing back then. Now, since this is the advertising industry in the Detroit area, a lot of it was focused on automotive-related ad campaigns. They want to be able to show the client what the commercial is going to look like before it becomes a commercial. And in those days, at least, they would hire someone like me to come in and do these quick marker illustrations based on their requests for certain, scenes that were going to be in the, not yet made commercial that they were still just pitching. And sometimes they would get to go ahead and make a real commercial. A lot of times they wouldn't. Here's another one that's car related, but this was actually for a print ad that they wanted to do, or maybe part of a larger campaign for Infinity sound systems. And so they would have me, as you can see, this is not good enough to be a finished published illustration. They're mocking it up. They're having someone like me with markers to show the client what it would end up looking for if they decide to give it the green light. Now, one of the most interesting campaigns, or prospective campaigns, that I was part of was for Old Style. I think they operate out of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And they came up with this whole big campaign that they were pitching that involved this slightly snarky character here. Can I park this for you? And the idea, I remember at least one of the ads was with the guy in a hotel room, and this businessman was on the phone, and he was sort of like, shall I open this bottle for you? And he's like, yeah, go right ahead. And the joke was that it came all the way to the point of pouring it and drinking it. Shall I drink this beer for you? And the guy is so distracted on the phone that he actually says, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know if that campaign ever made it to air, but there was they were going to have, what do you call it, like a bus stop advertising. They had me mock that up, and as I recall, this one involved me pulling an all-nighter. There was so much artwork that needed to be done in such a short period of time that I really was under the gun to create it all. Had to stay up all night to finish it and bring it in the next morning. Here's a brand that you're all familiar with, CocaCola, and I didn't even think about it until now, but I did come back and do Coke-related stuff yet again by way of YouTube. But this was, I think they wanted to show the box design that they were proposing for the, oh, did you hear Joy down there? That's my corgi contributing to my video. Anyway, they wanted to show how the Coca-Cola Christmas-style ad campaign would go in terms of not just commercials, but the product design. And this one I was kind of pleased with, in fact, and I'd forgotten about a lot of this stuff until I looked back at it, but that classic Santa Claus illustration stuff, they had me mock up one of those, probably for a magazine ad that they would have done. Some of the stuff is so long ago that I've completely forgotten what it was for, to be honest, and it seems to be an anti-smoking illustration of some kind, which, again, I return to with YouTube. My life is so cyclical, but I'm pretty pleased with this illustration, quite detailed compared to a lot of the other stuff that I did. A lot of times you're under the gun, you're having to produce illustrations super fast. Like here's one that was for a furniture ad, and I think they wanted to stress the sort of old world, handcrafted quality of the furniture. But you can see that, it's good drawing, but it had to be knocked out pretty quickly. And I'm not laboring over each one of these for any more time than I need to. That was just part of the gig. Now this is kind of different from all the other stuff I'm showing here. A friend of mine was working for The Nation, the magazine, operating out of New York City, and he needed a logo design for this thing they did back in the 1990s called the Nation Mobile. And so I showed, 5 different designs. Can you guess which one they went with? Well, maybe you could. It's this one right here, but that really is maybe very early example of me being hired as a professional illustrator. This wasn't just a mock-up for something. This was actually used by the nation way back in the 90s. Some of the stuff that I was doing back then was really just sort of portfolio pieces, imaginary illustration jobs that I wasn't being paid for, but I came up with this one. I don't know what it would symbolize, but I did both a black and white and a color version. You'll notice that it's done with brush, ink and brush. I was doing a lot of illustrations that way back then. Makes me think I should try again. I know I did maybe one like that as a YouTube video. Maybe it's time to return to the old brush and ink technique. Now this is much more typical of my storyboarding stuff, where again they were trying to visualize a commercial before it was made. And this is ink, maybe a little bit of marker, but quite a lot of pastel. Now that was unusual. I don't think many of the other storyboard artists were using pastel, but I found that it was a good fast way of getting color in there. Cannot remember the story of this one, but it's sort of surprisingly almost like a comic book. As you look at these different panels, you sort of can feel that a story is being told. And I've got another one. Hang on here, because I might need to readjust the focus on the fly here. This would have been a sepia tone commercial, and I think it might have been an anti-smoking campaign. I'm not sure. Part of, maybe related to that other illustration I showed you. But this one I thought was kind of an artistic commercial, where a woman comes in to the restaurant. We see, hang on just a second, we see her walking toward this man at the table, and you get this sort of effect of the camera zooming in. And although I don't have the rest of it, there is some sort of twist where maybe she sees that he was smoking and she's disappointed by that or whatever. I'm not sure. As I say, it's more than 20 years ago. A lot of this stuff has faded from my memory. Let's look at just a couple more. Now this is rather different from the other stuff that I've been showing. It was a point of purchase display idea that they'd come up with. Maybe you'd have a box of golf balls at the counter, and this would have gone in there so that when you go to buy something, you see it. Win a trip to the Ryder Cup. A little more polished, a little more finished looking than some of the other stuff I've done. And one last one I want to show. I was always rather pleased with this, although I can't remember what it was for, sadly. But the idea was to do an office building in the shape of the United States. And I don't think they told me to do an aerial view. I think I came up with that as my method of making it look like a legitimate building. And it does kind of work. If you look at it, the way things come around from this specific point of view, it looks like you could actually have a building that would look like the shape of the continental United States from that one particular point of view. But I think it's time to wind down this video, as I usually do, by thanking anyone who's got my books, the Brody's Ghost graphic novel series, all in a single volume now. We've got the Drawing Lesson, my graphic novel that teaches you how to draw, Mastering Manga 3, and of course my latest book, Manga Art. I got another new book coming out soon. I'm not going to reveal it yet, but it will be available, I think, in like February or March. And so watch this space. I will be revealing my next book very soon indeed. But for now, let me just thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.